Yishem Adonai Vach Matav Adonai Hashem is going to be blessed forever, forever. I believe that today, that's my plans to do two topics. One is gozez, shearing, and the next one is going to be mochek, erasing. These two melachot, there's a question in the halacha if it's permitted or prohibited on Shabbat. What's gozez? In Hebrew it's called gozez. Gozez, shearing. For example, can you take a haircut on Shabbat? Can you shave on Shabbat? Can you take off with, what do you call it, tweezers? What if I have bandage? If I pull it, I also pull hair with it. Can I do that on Shabbat? What else? Things you didn't... I'm going to tell you some things that's strange. Don't laugh. But it's part of the halakha. People wants to know. You start laughing already. So. I didn't even start it. You too.
I'm laughing at him.
Okay. So I tell you, people look at it funny, but there's a question in the halakha. You're saying you're not allowed to pick hairs, right? So someone says, Rabbi, listen, when I blow my nose, and I pull it hard, and hair's coming out of my nose. Sometimes blood a little bit. Sometimes the mucus is, I don't want to discuss you, but the mucus is hard. If I pull it, I pull hairs. Can I do this kind of stuff on Shabbat? I'm not allowed to pull hairs on Shabbat, or cut, in any fashion, any way. Can I do that on Shabbat? People have some hair that bothers them, so they go like that. Pick, they take it out. Can I do that on Shabbat? What about something that just happened recently? You know what? Maybe last Shabbat. Someone asked me. They had the broken nail. You know that nail that is not cut all the way. Yeah. There's a small broken. It's bothering you. You go like that. You catch the fiber on your clothing. So you want to cut it, but you can't cut on Shabbat. So they say, can I do it with my mouth? Just a little bit. Because it's scratching my face, it's scratching my clothing, it's ruining them on Shabbat. Especially the tie. You want to fix the tie, you got to scratch. So, what I'm going to do, it happens all the time. Especially for women that they have the things thinking with the fingernails and so forth and so on.
But for Shabbat, you should to
prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Fine.
You don't have a problem with the
But you know what happens? It happens to me more than once. That during Shabbat you hit something and then it breaks the nail. What are you going to do? Okay, so this is, first, what is the melacha? You know the difference between melacha, in Hebrew it says melacha, or there is avodah. Avodah means, if you translate it to English, avodah means work. Melacha means work. But avodah is permitted on Shabbat. Melacha is prohibited on Shabbat. Because it's under the category of the 39 melachot. Melacha comes from the word melech. Melech means king. You're a king. So this work you don't do. King doesn't do any work, right? You give orders. Avodah comes from, it sounds like eved. Eved means slaves. You may work on Shabbat, la'avod, meaning you're preparing a lot of, food for guests. You have to pick up chairs and tables, and you're sweating. It's permitted. Let's say one would like to jog on Shabbat, or exercise, do stretches, but he's sweating. If this is honor for you, if this is something you like to do, it gives you pleasure, it's permitted on Shabbat. Nevertheless, you're sweating, you're working hard, you're jumping on rope, right? On Shabbat, it's permitted. But switching light, nothing. Some places, with a clap of your hands, it's prohibited. Picking up hair, it's easy to do, prohibited. Shaving, so far and so on, it's prohibited on Shabbat. Well, how is that related to any job that happens in the tabernacle, in the Mishkan, or Beis HaMikdash? Gozeh, what did they shave? What did they cut? So the melacha of gozez in Hebrew, shearing, shearing, ring, like shearing, okay? Was performed in the construction of the tabernacle, since they sheared the wool of a sheep and goats. Some poskim rule that cutting human hair is not forbidden by the Torah, since the melacha is to shear wool. in order to have the wool, while a person cuts his hair to improve his appearance and throws away the hair he cuts. Therefore, you're not saving the hairs. Unlike shearing the animal, you would like to save the material. So maybe it'll be permitted. Cutting human hair is an example of melacha she'ena tzricha legufa. Meaning, I don't need the product that comes out of my shaving and cutting. I'm going to toss it. I'm going to trash it. Shulchan Aruch ruled like in the Tana, and the Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon, beautiful name by the way, that melacha she'ena tzricha legufa is not prohibited by the Torah, but only by our sages. You'll find that all the time. That they tell you, it's not prohibited by the Torah, but it's prohibited by the rabbis. So people always say, who cares by whom it's prohibited? By the federal or by the city hall? It's still prohibited. So it's not you're telling me, by the Torah, it's not okay, but by the Torah it's okay, but by the rabbinical it's not okay. So it's okay or not okay? You hear it all the time, and you might be asked in the interview, what's the difference between rabbinical laws to a Torah law? Torah law, higher supreme, it's preference. Excuse me. It gets precedence to rabbinical laws. Bottom line, if it's prohibited by the rabbi, it's prohibited. It's just the outcome different, meaning the punishment is different. If you break a Torah law, it's not like you broke a rabbinical law. Some Torah law are very, very serious, severe, and severe punishments compared to a rabbinical law. It will be a little bit more lenient, but it's still prohibited. It's not permitted. Make sense? The idea? Our rabbis put fence, so make sure you won't go to the places that you break a Torah law. Bottom line, people are asking all the time, Hashem really care if I use wipes on Shabbat. I have mustard or ketchup on my shirt. I can't go like that to shul. I want to clean it up. It's not permitted on Shabbat. It's laundering on Shabbat. Laundering doesn't mean that you throw it to the laundry. It means that even if you take a cloth or a towel, with soap, without soap even, in just water, you try to clean it up, it's considered laundering, some sort of laundering. It's not perfect. Do Hashem really care if I'm that, or do it after Shabbat? Hashem go to the details. Many Torah laws make no sense, and Hashem wants to see if you trust in Him. Bottom line, He says, you trust me whether you like it or not, you understand it or not. If you can open the book, study, and learn what's behind it, fine. If you don't do that, you'll always wonder, is that serious? What's going on here? Why I can't do that? It's not permitted? Oh, I didn't know. All your life, you broke Shabbat. Every Shabbat, you didn't even know, because you didn't study the halachot. We're showing Hashem that we love His Shabbat, we love the rules of Shabbat, and we're following it whether we understand or we don't understand. The benefit we have here in this class and other classes you can attend is to learn. You don't even have to attend. You open a YouTube or any other method and listen to Shabbat laws. It'll help you a lot to understand what Hashem wants for me to do on Shabbat, or to be careful not to do on Shabbat. Okay. I would like to skip all the other debate and all that. You got the idea of where this halacha law comes from. All the melachot, remember, comes from the 39 melachot. They call avot, Abba is the head of the melacha. And all the rest is like Yeled, the child, Tolada, it's called Tolada. It derives from the Abba. There are 39 of them. One of them is what we are calling now Gozez. Gozez, shearing. So people think, shearing, I'm not shaving any goats or sheep. I don't have that. I don't live in a farm. So it's not related to me. It's related to you. Because listen to the next halachot. It is forbidden to cut person's hair or nail on Shabbat, whether with a tool or by hand or even to bite it off. It is equally forbidden to cut someone else's hair or nail and to cut one's own. If someone cuts two hairs off with a tool, he is guilty of a capital offense of desecrating Shabbat. But if he does so by hand, he has performed an act forbidden only by our sages. See, it's still forbidden. Likewise, if someone cuts or plucks a single hair from himself or from someone else, he is guilty of an act forbidden only by our sages. He is not guilty of an act forbidden by the Torah, since the minimum amount forbidden by the Torah is 2 hairs. 2. When someone performs an act of melacha that is less than the amount of an act of capital Shabbat desecration, he is guilty only of performing an act forbidden by our sages. Someone who plucks even one white hair from an area of black hair, however, is guilty of a capital act of Shabbat desecration according to Torah law. That was like a introduction, so you get the idea. It is permissible to wipe one's nose clean on Shabbat, even if the mucus has dried in the nostrils. Remember we discussed that? It does not matter that one might pull out some hairs from the nose, since this is not the intention of the person wiping his nose clean. Obviously, you're not supposed to pluck hairs that are bothering you on Shabbat. Okay? There's other methods how to comb the area and do it after Shabbat. Even if there is no doubt that by cleaning out the mucus, one will remove some hair, and it is pseik risha, it's going to happen for sure, it is permitted. Since plucking out hairs by hand is prohibited only by our sages, and he has no desire to perform the melacha of plucking out his hairs. This is the principle of pseik risha delo nichale b'darabonon, which is permitted. You're going to do some act that the result are well known, but I don't need the result. I don't need what comes out of it. Okay, like the hair. I don't need the hair. It's just bothering me. Okay. Someone says, okay, I have a beard. Can I wash my face and go thoroughly? I might disconnect some hairs. What about with soap on the hands? When I do it really strong, I might pull up some hairs. Can I do that on Shabbat? Or on Shabbat I have to be careful. Halacha says, after using the restroom on Shabbat, a person may wipe himself clean even with water. It does not matter if he may... I always have a problem with this word. Inadvertently pluck, right? Inadvertently pluck out some hairs. The reason for this is the same in the reason permitting one to wipe one's nose clean in the halacha above. He's also talking here about intimate area in the body. People asking questions. Should I wipe this? Should I do this? I'm going to pull up some hairs. On Shabbat is permitted. One needs to be clean. By the way, it's highly recommended to put at your house, install bidet. You know what bidet means? Everywhere I go, I'm installing bidet. Bidet is a tool that costs $40, $30 less. And you put it on the toilet so you can wash yourself. Okay? It's very simple tool. You press a button and you wash yourself. It means that you come for davening clean. Some people, I'm sorry I have to discuss this with you, but that's the halacha. They are not cleaning themselves. So the best method will be the water. Okay, especially before davening. Okay. Next to it will be wipes. And very common, it's just regular paper toilet, which is not really clean. Okay, but it is what it is. You need to be aware of that. That it's not really clean. Always carry with yourself wipes or any other methods to make sure your body is always clean. Now, a woman says, Rabbi, my son has in his hair, I feel that he has some lice. Or my daughter has sand and dust in her hair. She just came from the playground. Can I pull it out on Shabbat? I want to clean her hair. Can I brush my hair on Shabbat with a brush, with a comb? So, it is permissible to pick out dirt or lice from children's heads on Shabbat. Believe me, when you have kids, come back from school, or kindergarten, you're going to deal with this kind of stuff, whether you like it or not. They're going to have lice. We all experience that. This is a disaster, I'm telling you. But it is what it is. They're getting it from their friends. And it's not an easy thing to get rid of today. Nevertheless, there are good material out there that you can get rid of the eggs. Because you can get rid of easily relatively from the lice itself, but the eggs, you think it's clean, and a week later, right? We all experience that. So for the boys, what I did, it's not Chantel's fault. It's from, you're always clean. It's from the people around you, So what we did with my boys, what did I do with my boys? Shave their head, Marines. I had to convince them, tell them you're Marines. You're in the IDF. So to raise, to say, yeah, and Neria, Shalom Aleichem. But, Baruch Hashem, Tzuriel eventually go to the IDF to be a warrior, a battle. Anyways, what of Shabbat? Shabbat, I see lice. Can I pull lice? How you say lice in Spanish?
Piojo.
Huh?
Piojo.
Piojo. How you get rid of it? Can you do that on Shabbat? Sometimes you're pulling, the kids are, and then you pull hair with it. Shabbat, can you pull hair? So the halacha says you may do that. It's permissible to cut lice from children heads on Shabbat. Even if the child has long hair, and it is likely that one will pull out some hairs while removing the filth, right, the dirt. It is permitted. As explained above, women may remove the lice anyway, since removing hair by hand is forbidden only by our sages. And she has no intention to pull out any hair. Even if we would consider this to be a case of psicration, it doesn't matter, not the discussion. Bottom line, it's permitted. I want to move on. In any case, if it's something you can wait a few hours, Shabbat is over, it's always best. But sometimes the kids, they're scratching their shoulder, they can't stand it. So it's time, you got to do it. What about bandages? You have bandage on your hand or your leg. You want to get rid of it on Shabbat, but when you do that, you're going to pull some hair. The halacha said it is permissible to remove bandage from one's skin on Shabbat if it is necessary, even if it is attached to a hairy part of the body. And removing the bandage will pull out some hairs. As in the previous halachot, this is permitted because it is a psik reshe de lo nichale b'derabbanan, meaning I don't care about the pull there. I wish I wouldn't have to pull there, but that's not my intention. My intention is to get rid of the bandage. That's it. Which is permitted. Now, very common mistake. The next one that many people do, especially when they come to synagogue or they come to people and they are Shomer Shabbos, they keep the halachot, but people see that they just walk up and they brush the hair. They don't know this is a problem on Shabbat. Okay? So listen to this halakha. Our sages forbade the act of combing hair on Shabbat? Should I say combing or coming?
Combing.
Coming, the silent B. Anybody have an eraser? I want to erase the B.
Yes.
If it's a silent, why did they put it? You have it?
The English language.
It's crazy. Yeah. Of combing hair on Shabbat, since this will surely pull some hairs out. However, one may straighten one's hair with a soft brush. Many poskim have complained bitterly about those people who continue to comb their hair on Shabbat as if it were perfectly acceptable and permitted. They were against, it's not against at the site. Aghast? What's aghast? A-G-H-A-S-T. Aghast? You familiar with this word? Maybe it's a typo. They were aghast at the sight of people who desecrate Shabbat deliberately. Every rabbi...
I guess is like shocked.
Okay, makes sense. Every rabbi must stress to his community the importance of this halacha so that they will come to understand and obey it. Okay, Moshe? So you need to be like me, Marines.
Can you use gel in your hair on Shabbat?
You can't use you can do it before Shabbat, but anything that is liquidish is permitted, which means, baby oil, olive oil, anything that's liquidish. We'll get to it when we learn about...
what do you mean liquid? Like
the test is, gel is not liquidish.
It comes out of like a tube, like a...
Right. So it's not, you have to push it.
Uh-huh.
Right? But if you take oil, you pour upside down, it will come out, right? Vaseline, if I take Vaseline, I will do it upside down, it's not going to come out. Yeah. It's not very good. Yeah. So there's a question in Allah, what if someone needs to put antibiotic? Or to put a special cream for the baby's diapers thingy, what do they call it? It's right. So usually it's a little bit hard. It's not liquidish. So there's a trick. You can do it with not smearing it. It's Shabbat. You just take it and you put like spots. By the movement of the baby's leg, it's going to be smeared all over, anyways. But you have to do it because the baby is suffering on Shabbat, okay? Or if you have to put antibiotic, it's something you have to take 7 or 10 days. Shabbat comes, you have to do it, so you just put it. You don't smear it, right? That's the idea. But B'ezras Hashem, we'll get to it. So we know that this is something is forbidden. Okay. Okay, I think it's... When man washes his face on Shabbat, he may rub his beard, although... I think I skipped that. Why then? Okay. Rub his beard, although he might pluck some hairs out, he may do so without fear of being punished for it. But anyone who refrains from act that might pull out his hairs will receive a special blessing from heaven. In Shamayim, they see your efforts. Nevertheless, it's permitted. There's a risk. You're always being careful. Going back to what we said about the lice and all that, you see that it's permitted. Okay. So we've learned about taking care of the baby's head, the children's head, maybe your head. What about dirt or lice that you have on the fur, a jacket? Sometimes the lice go there. For them, it's a hair. It's an animal. It's a living thing. Likewise, it is permissible to pick lice and dirt from a fox fur garment, although one might detach some of the fur in the process. Since one has no intention of detaching the fur. You might think yourself, I don't have that, but many Jews has, especially they have the head, like the spare tire in a car thingy. So they have to handle this kind of thing. Okay, it is permissible to remove bandage from one's skin on Shabbat. It is necessary. We already read that. Fine, next. Oh, the comb. So I see that, okay. A soldier, he says, I'm in the army. It's not the IDF. They're forcing everybody to shave. If I don't shave, I'm going to get punished. The whole unit will get punished. I don't think it's the case in America. In America, they're more sensitive to it. But other places, they don't care if you're Jew or you're not Jew. You don't shave, there's consequences. Shabbat, what you going to do? So this is the solution. You have a solution for me before I read it? You have to shave. It's Shabbat. What you going to do? It is forbidden by the Torah to remove one's beard on Shabbat using depilatory cream. Depilatory cream. You know the cream that usually women use for the other parts of the body, the cream for the legs and stuff like that. It was very common when I was a child. And when I was a child, I remember a family member using it. It stinks like a rotten egg. I don't know if you. Today it comes with. I don't know why they didn't think about it back then, but it was really good. It got dry, and then you move it with some sort of towel, yeah, or piece of wood, and it was really smooth. So you're not supposed to do it on Shabbat. It is considered equal to shaving with a tool. Therefore, if a soldier is non-Jewish army is ordered to shave his beard on Shabbat because an important dignitary is arriving, right? The important general is coming, I don't know, and it is impossible to refuse the order, he should have a non-Jew shave him, even if the non-Jew will use a razor blade rather than shave himself with a cream. It's very rare and special situation. Okay? But it's better that you don't do it yourself. So, get one of the friends, they will shave you. Okay. Okay, next. Oh, the next one is really disgusting, but it happens. It happens when you go to, sometimes in the army, and sometimes in a dormitory. You eat chicken, but sometimes the chicken top is not really clean. Sometimes there is residues of, feathers on it. You don't want to eat that way. You want to remove the feathers. It's cooked or it's roasted, but you see the feathers. It's like when I'm taking them out of the chicken I'm about to eat, I'm like shaving the chicken. Disgusting, but it is what it is. It is permissible to remove small feathers that one might find in a piece of cooked chicken when eating it on Shabbat. This is not considered an act of the melacha of gozez. It was more common back then. Today they have tools that cleaning up the chicken really good. But I don't know if you know that or remember that from your childhood. The women used to do that themselves. You remember that maybe when you were a child? Mm-hmm. After shechting the animal, I remember that. It takes an hour. We hate that. You know? Anyways, some leftover could be left, and you may move them on Shabbat. Oh, another question. People have on the skin, what do you call it, wort? Wort, is the right way to say it? And it's dry, and they want to remove it on Shabbat. You have, acne pimples, and it dries, or you want to get rid of it. Sometimes you can aim with someone you don't like, and squeeze, and he shoot right to it. You never do that, Moshe? Sammy, don't tell me you never do that. Can you do that on Shabbat?
That should be forbidden overall.
Overall, right? Any day of the week is forbidden. Sammy, don't get excited every day. The halacha says it is forbidden to cut wort from one's skins, whether he does so with his fingers or with a tool, and whether he removes the wort from his own skin or from someone else's skin. It is forbidden as well to detach flakes of skin that are peeling from one's body. Or the little thingy, what do you call this?
Hangnail?
Ma?
A hangnail?
No, the
Cuticle.
cuticle. Yeah, it's forbidden on Shabbat. Sometimes you do that and it causes the bleed.
Yeah.
And doing on Shabbat, it's forbidden. You know what? Less halacha for today. And next week, we're going to study mochek, erasing. You're saying, I'm not writing on Shabbat. What am I erasing? Well, I'll give you an example. You have a birthday cake on Shabbat. And you write, happy birthday to so. When you cut the cake, you're erasing it. Sometimes Aron Kodesh has words of the Ten Commandments. But when you open, you're like separating the words. Or putting them together. It's about that. So this kind of stuff we're going to discuss Be'ez Hashem next week. Less halacha for today. Woman has to go, and my wife, she's one of the women are in charge in the mikveh. She gets these questions all the time. You know, when the woman go to a mikveh, she make herself really, really clean. But one woman forgot to trim her fingernails before Shabbat. Shabbat is in, and 8 o'clock she needs to go. When it gets dark, she needs to go to the mikveh. She can no longer permitted to cut the fingernail. Okay, so what's she going to do? Because part of this process is you have to make sure that it's clean and so on. So the halacha says the following: a woman needs to immerse herself. If a woman needs to immerse herself in the mikveh on Friday evening, but she forgot to cut her nails before Shabbat began, she may instruct a non-Jewish woman to cut them on Shabbat. The act of cutting nails for the sake of the mitzvah of immersion in the mikveh is forbidden only by our sages. This way it can be lenient. Okay? And instructing a non-Jew to perform the malacha is also forbidden only by our sages. Thus, this is a case of whatever we said. Now, another recommendation here is don't get excited now. It's permitted to say, hey, do my nails. It's Shabbat, you forgot, it's your fault. So you should hint to her, my hands are here, you do it. You pull my hand to you, and you should cut it for me. So you how should I say it? You're not active in that matter. See, I really need to cut my fingernails. It's rare, but it happens. Okay? In any case, you did something wrong and you're not sure, you don't cancel mikveh night, mikveh ever. You consult with the Rabbi, and she will tell you what to do. There's always a solution. The halacha is very much encouraged to do the mikveh versus saying, come back next Saturday night. It's a special time, neshamot, light, kedusha. You don't reject it. Take whatever it takes. Go to the Rebbitzin in the mikveh. She knows what to do. They experience hundreds of cases. Any more questions? No questions.
In the case of the man, is the same situation right with if they forgot to trim the...
In the mikveh?
Yeah.
They're not supposed to go to a mikveh. There's no mikveh till Mashiach comes. This is why men don't do bracha in a mikveh. There's no mikveh for men. If a man wants to do, Hasidim do it every day. It's a good thing to do. It's a great thing to do.
Okay.
But men only when Mashiach comes, and so it's a little bit different than... Shavua Tov, Be'ez Hashem, see you probably next week, same time. Okay? Thank you for coming. God bless you.